It's time for a midweek round of Premier League football, and to be honest, a lot of these games look tight. When I first did my draft for scores, I had 6 or 7 draws out of 10, and I thought, well, that's probably not going to happen. I need to get off the fence. So, here are my predictions, but I'm not confident about any of them at all. Brentford v Man City is the opener, and well, if we look at the top, home form, Brentford second best in the league, 7 wins, 1 draw, 2 losses. Important to note that those 2 losses have been their most recent home games, so maybe the effect is starting to wear off. Away form, Man City 7th, but if we look at the table, City is 6th. Yes, they've won 2 in a row, and yes, the last game was a little bit more convincing than it has been, with that big 4-1 win over West Ham, but you still don't know if they're quite there. And Brentford picked up an away win, 5-0 over Southampton, so Brentford will be confident going into this, which is why I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw. I believe a couple of seasons ago as well, Brentford were the only side not to lose to Man City in a season, something like that. Brentford tend to be decent in this fixture, especially at home, so we'll back that. And I will just quickly double check, make sure I'm not talking absolute rubbish. Brentford at home, okay, last time they played they lost 3-1. However, before that it was a 1-0 win, and then they lost 1-0 before that. So maybe not. Don't take everything I say literally, but you know, they've beat them before. They can get something again, especially in better form now. So Chelsea Bournemouth next up is an interesting one because Chelsea looked like they could contend for the title about 3 weeks ago, and since then 4 games without a win, 2 draws, 2 losses, has seen Arsenal and Forest get ahead of them. Newcastle now 1 point behind them and in brilliant form. Man City are back on the radar, and Bournemouth, the team they're playing, are actually only 3 points behind Chelsea. So if Bournemouth get something here, they will be ahead of Chelsea. Well, no, level on points with Chelsea, not ahead. But you know, it's strange because Chelsea looked brilliant, and then all of a sudden they've just stopped being able to pick up many points. This is a tough one. This I also had as a draw, but I thought I've got to pick a winner, and I've just got to go for Chelsea to get back into the groove. So I'll go 2-1 to Chelsea. On to West Ham v Fulham. New manager at West Ham, Graham Potter. So that's already interesting, and it's not surprising after that 4-1 loss to City that Lopetegui was finally cut, because I mean they're 14th but they're only 7 points above the relegation zone, and with how much money they spent in the summer, West Ham should be a fair bit higher up the table. They should really be around 8th, 9th, and it should be somewhere between Bournemouth and Brighton maybe. So yeah, West Ham need to improve. Fulham, brilliant season so far. Yes, they've drawn 4 of their last 5, but they've only lost 4 out of their 20 games this season, so they're hard to beat. And that's why I'm going to go for them to get something, but all 3 points in a 2-1 win. Forest Liverpool, this is the featured match based on table position. Obviously, we've got the North London derby, but Forest Liverpool, Forest in 3rd, 5 wins in their last 5. I think they've won 6 or 7 in a row, I believe. But yeah, 5 out of 5 wins. Liverpool, 3 wins, 2 draws. Obviously, Liverpool are top with a game in hand. Only lost 1 game this season, and that was against Forest. So, could Forest haunt them again? Could they get all 3 points, get something? I hope they do. Nothing against Liverpool, but I really want someone to get near Liverpool this season, because they have been the best side. They've only lost 1 game, and I mean, if they win their game in hand against Everton, it's a 9-point gap from 1st to 2nd, and would be over halfway through the season. So I really think we could do with Forest getting something here, just to make the title race a little bit more interesting. It would be good to see Forest get something, but it's going to be a tough game. However, maybe this is more my feeling to make the Premier League more exciting. I am going to go for a draw, a 1-1 draw, which would be a massive result for Forest. Everton Villa is our next game, and well, new boy in Everton, but it's actually an old boy. David Moyes returns, so he left them for Man United all that time ago, and he's finally got back into that Everton role. I was a bit surprised Sean Dyche was sacked. I know Everton are only sitting 1 point above the bottom three. They've only won 3 games all season, but it's not like, well, they came off the back of a pretty decent run against some tough sides, picking up points. But yeah, it's just lack of wins, I guess, for Everton, because they've only lost 8 of their 19, but they've also drawn 8 and won 3. That's where the problem lies. Everton, it's a tough one because every season they just look like they're going to be near the bottom 3. Looks the same again. Villa, not in great form, very patchy. Probably the patchiest form in the league. It's, yeah, nothing consistent. Them and Palace are quite tough at the moment to get any idea out of. But yeah, we'll go in this for, I'm going to back Everton to win 1-0 just because of that new manager bounce. Leicester v Palace. Now, Leicester's form, terrible. 5 losses out of their last 5, the worst form over a 5-game period. But this is a massive game because Palace are only 7 points ahead of them, and realistically, Palace are in a relegation fight. Do I think that they'll survive? Yes. Do I think they'll survive comfortably? Yes. But they're not out of the woods at all. They're only 5 points above the relegation zone. But this could be a massive game for Leicester, because if they lose here, and a few teams around them pick up points, like Wolves and Ipswich have been doing recently, then it could start to look a bit tough for their survival. Palace, I think, will get the win though. Better form. A few players coming back into form. Mateta, I think, popping up with a few goals recently. Eze playing well. So I think Palace will win it 2-1. Newcastle Wolves, and for me, Newcastle really are the form side, and I know you've got Forest who should not be where they are. You know, if you said before the season that halfway through the season Forest would be sitting 3rd, you'd be thinking I was crazy. However, Newcastle are just blowing people away. They've had some tough fixtures recently as well. If we quickly take a dive into Newcastle's fixtures, and I know these teams aren't necessarily doing too well, but well, they beat Arsenal in the Carabao Cup, they beat Spurs, Man United and Villa. Well, Villa, Man United, then Spurs, all in a row in the league, and then Arsenal in the Carabao Cup after that. They beat Ipswich, Brentford, Leicester, so they were a few easier fixtures, but yeah, they got that draw against Liverpool as well, just at the start of December, so they've really turned a corner and hit a nice little run of form. 8 wins in a row in all competitions. So yeah, Newcastle, I think, will get the win here. I'm going to go for a 3-1. Despite Wolves looking better recently, I think that Newcastle will get the 3-1 win. And we'll move on to Arsenal Spurs, North London derby. Arsenal clear favourites. Not sure about that, because although Spurs are dodgy and only seem to turn up in the big games, Arsenal without Saka just don't really know where the net is. That's their problem. They can't score many goals when Saka isn't there. So, although the table says Arsenal are 2nd and Spurs are down in 12th, with Spurs losing 3 of their last 4, I still think that Spurs, if they can hit a couple of early goals or just take a lead into half-time or something, I don't know if Arsenal will be able to respond. They lack creativity. They lack a brilliant striker. So, yeah, I think in this one, I'm going to go for a draw. But these always can go anyway. But I'll go for a 2-2 draw. And Spurs probably being 2-1 up and then throwing it away. Ipswich Brighton. Now, Ipswich are in the relegation zone, but only on goal difference. 1 goal difference. And they have came into a bit of better form recently. They did beat Chelsea. So, yeah. Ipswich starting to come alive. Made a couple of signings, or they signed Jadon Philogene from Villa. I don't know if anyone else has came through the door. I think there was someone else. But, yeah, Ipswich are looking better at the moment than they have. And, well, their opponent's Brighton, 4 draws in a row. When was the last time they won? They've drawn 10 out of their 20 games anyway, but Brighton have played 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 league games, drawn 6, lost 2, and then they won the one before that against Bournemouth. So they were looking very good, but all of a sudden the wins have dried up, and 6 points from 8 games isn't great. They're hard to beat though, so I'll go for a 1-1 draw. And finally, Man United Southampton. I think Man United win this. Southampton, obviously, still that 1 win in the league all season, 3 losses in a row. It looked like maybe it could improve under the new manager, but, well, now they've started taking a few beatings. That 5-0 against Brentford last time out being just massive. They were pushed aside very comfortably there. And that's not going to do a lot of good for the squad that were already low on confidence. Had the new confidence maybe of a new manager coming in and then being battered like that by Brentford when Brentford are awful away. Yeah, not going to help. And Man United, whilst they've been in not great form, well, as you can see, not winning 4, losing 3 of those. They did just beat Arsenal in the Cup. They are turning up in the big games, and you are seeing... I think we're seeing a little bit more of what Amorim wants through the squad. Now, again, I'm expecting them to be very patchy until the end of the season, and I think next season they'll have a better year, but Man United, it's a tough one. I think they'll win. It's just whether it gives them the confidence to go and win the next game and the next game, and who knows with United. But yeah, some of the displays in that game against Arsenal, some of them in their last fixture against Liverpool as well, very good. Some of the determination from players that, we've seen Man United players just walking around and letting players walk past them recently. So yeah, something seems to be sorting itself out over the last couple of fixtures. So we'll go Man United to win. I don't think they're going to blow anyone away, but we'll go for a 2-0 win. So those are my predictions for these upcoming fixtures. Make sure to get yours down below. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you next time.